All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be breaking down the 5-game slate that we have today on Sunday. Let's go ahead and get into it. So guys, with this being a 5-game slate, I am just going to do more of a game-by-game breakdown. I think that's the easiest way to do that. And so with that, let's go ahead and start off with the first game, the early game, which is going to be Minnesota versus Washington. When we go ahead and take a peek at this game, guys, we are going to notice it is a decent game total, about 236 total points, but it's a 10-point spread in favor of Minnesota, as we would expect. For Washington, guys, Keyshawn George is still going to be out, but when we take a peek at the projected minutes, no one's necessarily benefiting a bunch with him being out. Maybe Bagley gets a little bit more run than what he averages, and then maybe Justin Champagnie gets a little bit more run as well, but really nothing too much there from this game, I think. And so when we take a peek at Washington, guys, no one really is standing out as like a top play. I think we could get to a little bit of Koulibaly. I think we could get to a little bit of Champagnie. I think we could get to a little bit of Trey Johnson and a little bit of Bagley and a little bit of Middleton. But none of these are must plays. They are literally all just shoulder shrug plays. If you end up on one of them to close out your build, you're okay with it because of their price. But also none of them are plays that we need to go out of our way to target. It's kind of same thing here with Minnesota. I will say Gobert I find a little bit interesting. I think Randall's a little bit interesting. I think Edwards and a little bit of DiVincenzo is even interesting as well. But I don't think we necessarily want to get to that many pieces of this game, just because we are getting a better game in the next game that we're going to cover here, which is this Pelicans versus Miami game. So this is projected to be a very high scoring game, guys, 244. Now it is an 8-point spread, so we don't love that. But if Jaquez were to sit for Miami, guys, I think we'd be looking at really Norman Powell to benefit from that. Also maybe a little bit of Wiggins, but Powell becomes a better play. And then for the Pelicans, guys, Poole is expected to get a little bit of a minutes bump. Derek Queen projected for 31 minutes. That's interesting. If Trey Murphy sits, that just makes Zion a very easy click. And if Queen sits, I kind of hope he plays because he's a decent play as well. And so from there, guys, let's take a peek at the Pelicans, because I actually really like the idea of getting to Zion. I don't think he's properly valued per like Vegas odds and even the minutes projection. I think he's someone we want to be going out of our way to target. And I actually do like the idea of getting to Jordan Poole. So let's go ahead and take a peek at those plays a little bit more. So like Jordan Poole has been someone that's been playing better recently, guys. Shooting the basketball a little bit better recently is really what it comes down to. We see 3 balls, guys, shooting like 10 3-balls per game pretty much, which is insane. In this high scoring game, you kind of would expect him to be able to go out and have a good game. Priced at 5.5. If we get one of these games where he gets like 35 fantasy points, that is certainly going to be enough for us on this slate. So I do like the idea of playing him in the shooting guard spot. Now, Bryce McGowan's probably going to start. I don't hate him as like a punt value play, but we don't need to get there. And then if Trey Murphy ends up sitting, I do like Poole and Zion a little bit more, but I'm just simply going to get to Zion in this high scoring game. I think there's a great chance we get 40 plus DFS points out of him. I'm kind of putting his floor at 40 DFS points. Now, Derek Queen is probably getting closer to being properly priced, although would it be that shocking to see him put up 40 fantasy points in this game, or even a floor of about 35 fantasy points to get that 5x? I think that's very viable, okay? Now, he could end up sitting. We don't necessarily love that. Worth calling out, guys. Alvarado, getting some minutes, but don't necessarily love him. Same thing with Fears. He's probably properly priced. Coming in off of a good game. Maybe he gets you 30 plus DFS points, but at that point, I think you'd rather just be playing Jordan Poole. Now, Trey Murphy's active. I don't mind the idea of getting to him. I feel like he is a little bit underpriced given the game total of this game. And then just again, looking at Miami, guys, I do think I want to begin to Norman Powell the most. In this pretty easy matchup, I do think there's a good chance that he does go off. Only played 25 minutes in the last game, guys. Started off pretty slow. That game kind of ended up being a blowout, but it was the front end of the back-to-back. I think that's part of the reason as to why we do want this game to stay close. Now, if it does end up being a blowout in favor of Miami, he's going to be a decent part of the reason as to why. So I do like getting to him. And then Bam, I'm fine with Bam or Ware, one of those two. Kind of same thing. If the game ends up being a blowout, he's going to be part of the reason as to why. So from there, guys, let's go ahead and get into OKC versus Phoenix. I don't really like much from this game, in all honesty. Like OKC is pretty banged up. Like AJ Mitchell's okay, projected for 23 minutes. I don't necessarily like that many plays here. And then for Phoenix, guys, a little bit interesting in regards to if we need to get under 4K. Ryan Dunn's a little interesting, but after that, it's very tight. So I'm mostly avoiding plays here, which could end up being wrong. I get that, but I just don't necessarily love that. Devin Booker really not projected to play all too well as well. And so I'm just not getting there with those plays. And so we'll jump on in here to Milwaukee versus the Kings, guys. Kind of another game where I don't necessarily love it. We see about a 228.5 game total, and then Kings are 6.5 point dogs. Both teams are, relatively speaking, healthy. Actually, Zach LaVine could end up being back here for the Kings, and we'll see if he ends up playing or not. But I don't necessarily love him. Maybe he's trying to get a tryout for the Bucks, showing what he's got. There's trade rumors that the Bucks might try to trade for him. Now, kind of the tough part about this slate is there isn't necessarily any great pay-up plays. I don't mind the idea of getting up to Giannis. I think that's fine. I think Ryan Rollins and or Miles Turner are somewhat in play here, guys. The issue with the Bucks is with Giannis being back, it is kind of a guessing game as to who is going to be another piece that goes off. I do agree it should be Rollins and then Turner. Turner has been somewhat hit or miss. I kind of like the idea of chasing upside, though. He's been playing better recently. This is a good matchup. I kind of would expect him to be able to take advantage of this good matchup as well. It's very risky, okay, but I like chasing the upside. I like chasing the fact that we could get 40 DFS points at 5.2. How many other players can do that, right? I mean, it's actually pretty crazy. We see 40 and 41, 41.5. And don't get me wrong, that's been kind of rare this year, but it does seem like he has gotten a little bit better as the season has progressed, especially into this system. And so I actually end up liking him a decent amount. But I also do like Ryan Rollins at 6.7, guys. He has also been someone that's been playing better recently, obviously coming in off of a massive game against Charlotte. The concern that I have is, yeah, he was extremely efficient in that game. 6 for 7, 11 for 13. We're not necessarily expecting that again. I think we'd be maybe hoping for more of the 44, maybe against Chicago. But he's appealing in this game because there's good matchups. Then we go ahead and take a peek at the Kings, guys. Again, not much there. Keegan Murray's a little bit interesting, but that's really about it. I think we can get to him in some builds. So let's go ahead and jump on into the last game, guys. Memphis versus the Lakers. So Ja Morant projected to get 5X. I'm okay with that. We do need to look at kind of the projected starting lineup here, guys. So Aldama's currently listed as day-to-day. If he were to end up sitting, then that does make the slate a little bit more interesting. And then Job's also currently questionable, but if they sit, this game has a higher likelihood to end up being a blowout. But I do think Jaren Jackson Jr. would be a little bit interesting. You do see Jalen Wells maybe a decent play. Koloko could end up starting here for Memphis. I don't think we care about that. Jock Landale, probably at too high price, guys. And then Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't mind the idea of maybe chasing a ceiling game out of him, but this game is a game that could end up being a blowout, and that's something that we don't love. Ja Morant has been playing better recently. It does feel still somewhat risky, but also I could see if you want to get to him. It's just he's so hit or miss. I don't necessarily love chasing that. Cedric Coward, he's also, it's just I don't like messing with Memphis too much. And so we'll jump into the Lakers, guys. The Lakers to me are a little bit more interesting just because Hachimura's out and Austin Reeves is out, as well as Gabe Vincent. To me, that does help out Jake LaRivia a decent amount. And so he actually is one of the better values on the slate. Now, I do like the idea of paying up for Luka as well. LeBron has been playing better recently, and this is a higher scoring game. I think we could get away with playing those two. And so I really don't mind that approach as well. And so we're going to try to put Reeves into a build. Again, he is just a stud with Reeves off the court. We do want this game to stay close, but it is tough for me to pass up on 50 plus fantasy points, even at 12K. We're getting enough value to the point where we can make that work. LaRivia will put into the small forward spot, and then we have about 4.6 left over. Okay, so I mentioned we are getting a lot of decent value. I wouldn't say we're getting a lot of elite value, though. I think I could actually end up getting to AJ Green here as a punt value, guys. 4K. Let's look at his recent 3 balls. 3 for 10, 3 for 8, 1 for 5, 2 for 8. He is a great 3-ball shooter. Has been shooting well recently, and so in a decent matchup, maybe it gets hot. That's really what we're chasing there. And then we have a little bit more room to pay up for some plays. We did see Ryan Dunn was popping up as a decent value. I actually just think AJ Green has a little bit more of a ceiling, and so I'd rather punt to him. Then that way we have a little bit more money to chase other plays. Like Justin Champagne here at 4.5 then becomes much more appealing again with those players being out. We can get to him, Kaishan George being out. And then we have 5.5 left over to fill out the last leg of this build. Royce O'Neal's okay. Jalen Wells is okay. Fears, I'll try to get to Fears. Maybe Trey Murphy ends up sitting. That would end up being a better build. So it is kind of more difficult to build great builds. And that's also what we're seeing early on with some of the lineups that we've been putting out there, guys. So Rollins, Jaquez, LaRivia, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, Julius Randle, and Bam. So that's like completely different than the lineup I just gave you. And these are the top lineups that we're currently making. So I find that extremely interesting, guys, that these are the lineups that we're producing. Again, I really like Zion. I love chasing that upside. And let's see what the exposure is. So Larivi at 45%. I don't like this for Kyle Kuzma, guys. I would actually limit that to like 15 for him. And then from there, I kind of don't mind this. Hotcast, guys, again, we're a little bit worried about him sitting. And so I'm fine with that. And then for Zion, I would raise that up to like 45% right now. Obviously, we could change that as the day progresses, but I do like that there as well. That's going to do it for this video. Appreciate you being here. Make sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well, guys. I can have you guys covered a little bit later on today with the Sunday Night Football matchup breakdown between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Be on the lookout for that, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.